We are not thugs. We are not thugs. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great millstone do, rule well. Salutations to the men of the hopeful and sincere elect. This is your brother Makazar from the Trinidad camp. Just want to do a little edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson, as I said before, is we are not thugs. Right? When you look up the word thugs, mean a group of men that basically goes around, committing crimes or, basically unlawful acts. All right? And despite we are a group of men, we are not ones to do unlawful acts. All right? The scripture says be subject to the powers that be. All right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, sometimes when in the world, especially when you're walking with a group of men, you tend to feel powerful or, undefeatable. All right? And you will actually walk around thinking that you're invincible. And if a situation arises between you and someone else, the easiest thing for you to do is actually to try to act tough. You'll be all up in the person's face. You might be looking for a fight just because you know that you have your team there to defend you. But guess what? That was in the world. In the truth, we don't do those things. All right? And a lot of times when a man tends to escalate a situation when he has his entourage, usually when he's by himself, he would rather choose to walk away from it. He wouldn't look to escalate the situation. He will actually try to de-escalate it. All right? And being in the truth, we're not supposed to find ourselves doing that. Because really and truly, what you actually doing is actually putting your brother's life in jeopardy. Whether it is 1 brother, 2, 10, or 50. All right? You actually putting your Archeum's life in jeopardy by escalating a situation that could have been dealt with otherwise. Someone might have a quarrel with you, and because you have the brothers there, you look to thing, and you're going all up in that individual's face. You might be pushing there. You might try to throw a punch. You might basically you're looking for a fight because all right, yeah, my boy's there, so we handle the situation. Guess what? We don't operate like that in this truth. We don't operate like that in this truth. I'm not saying that if a situation happens and you have to defend yourself, by all means, defend yourself. But first of all, if the situation could be de-escalated, do that. Do that. All right? This is Matthew chapter 10 and 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Yeah, the Lord sent us as sheep in the midst of wolves. He didn't send us as wolves in the midst of wolves. Or wolves in the midst of sheep. We are not a wolf pack. All right? We're not going out there looking for trouble, looking for quarrel. All right? You don't go out there and, you hanging and somebody step on your shoes. And because they step on your shoes, you're looking for a fight because you have a team there now. Guess what? We don't operate like that in this truth. All right? The scripture said the meek shall inherit the earth. All right? The humble. All right? It says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Wise. You have to be wise because guess what? You might escalate that situation. You get in a fight. Obviously, your brother's going to come to your defense. All right? You might beat this guy up. But then guess what? Your brother might be by himself. And that same guy might be with his team at another time. And see your brother. And say, hey, look, one of them. And guess what? He could beat your brother to a pulp, probably kill your brother. And then guess what? Whose fault would it be? Not your brother's for your defense. Yours for actually escalating a situation that didn't need to be escalated. All right? So you need to think spiritual in this truth, not carnal. All right? Let that carnal way go. If that was your life in the world, walking around being all thuggish, trying to act all macho, all tough in public. Anybody look at you the wrong way, you're looking for a fight. Guess what? We don't operate like that in this truth. All right? And this truth, we don't operate like that. We're like sheep in the midst of wolves, and the Lord said to be harmless as doves, but wise as serpents. All right? This is Titus chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, and to be ready to every good work, to speak evil of no man, not to be no brawlers. All right, to be no brawlers. We're not supposed to be brawlers. As the scripture says in Timothy, we're not supposed to be brawlers, going out there looking for fights. All right, you might be on the highways, you preaching, then some dude might come up talking shit, and because you the team there, you feel all strong, you go across, you cross the signs, you cross that threshold, you go up in the guy's face, you might push him around, and then it lead to a fight. It don't need for that to happen. Because most likely, if you were there on the highways by yourself, you would not escalate that situation. So don't escalate a situation because you know your brother's there. Don't put your brother's life in jeopardy. Because the worst case scenario of that situation is somebody being killed. It's the worst case scenario of that situation. And then who will be left with the heavy conscience and the guilty conscience? You. Because it was your fault. Alright? It says, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men. Just be humble, be humble. Show gentleness. Alright? If a situation happens, hey, by all means, you have to defend yourself. Hey, defend yourself. But if it could resolve that matter without reaching to that situation, hey, do it. Do it. All right? This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 28 and verse 11. It says, and hasty contention kindleth a fire, and an hasty fighting sheddeth blood. And that is what's going to happen. It's going to lead from a hasty contention because, you in your mind, you thought this guy disrespected you by looking at you wrong, or probably stepped on your shoe, or bounced you, bumped into you walking, all right? So it leads into a contention because why? Because, you little hot-tempered, and you have your boys there, so hey, your boys going to defend you, all right? So you all up in the guy's face, you push him around, it leads to a fight, and then guess what? It leads to shedding blood. Probably you didn't know the guy had a knife or a gun, and somebody dies. And then who gonna be left with the guilty conscience? It says, verse 12, it says, if thou blow the spark, it shall burn. If thou spit upon it, it shall be quenched. And both these come out of thy mouth. Both these come out of thy mouth. So you have the power to escalate the situation or to de-escalate the situation. Hey, a guy bump into you. Hey, sorry brother, be on your way. He mash your shoes. Hey, no problems. Sorry about that. Let's go. Peace. All right? He says something, you say, hey, no problems, man. You just try your best to say, I don't want no quarrels, and, just try your best to de-escalate the situation. Hey, they even teach that in martial arts. The first thing to do is try to de-escalate the situation. Don't try to escalate it. Because martial arts is not about, that's what they say. Because martial arts means war like art. But what the instructors teach, they first teach martial arts is about self-defense. All right? Defense if it reaches a situation where you need to defend yourself. All right? Your first mindset isn't to just go out looking for brawls. All right? So be on your merry way. Peace. All right? As the scripture said to be the doctrine of peace, ministers of peace. All right? So it's either you blow on the situation or you spit on it. All right? You escalate it or you de-escalate it. And according to the scriptures, your duty is to de-escalate any situation that happens. And that actually shows growth. Because the scripture said the greater thou art, the more humble thyself. That shows growth and humility. All right? It have this old Chinese proverbs. It says, only when a mosquito lands on your balls is your genitals, your scrotum. All right? Only when a mosquito lands on your balls, then you learn not all things is done by force. Because guess what? When the mosquito lands on your balls, you're not gonna swap that mosquito. All right, you're not gonna use force and swap that mosquito. You're gonna run it. All right, because you know, in the event, you will get hurt. All right, so if you know it have a high probability of you being hurt, you're not gonna do that. So it's the same when you with your Akim. Don't look for fights. Even by yourself, don't look for fights. We are not thugs. All right, we are not brawlers. Is the final precept here. This is Colossians chapter 3 and verse 12. It says, put on therefore as the elect of Yahweh, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness and long suffering. Hey, a guy hit you, hey, he just probably just push you, probably just give one a slap or whatever the case is, and that is it. Hey, if it might be hard, but as he said, long suffering. The scriptures say, he that vengeth himself shall find vengeance of the Most High. All right, so if you're still in that level mindset, because sometimes a situation could happen where you just totally flip out. All right, but if you're still in that calm mindset, hey, just say, you know what, just leave that to the Most High. All right, but sometimes the situation might not happen like that, but let's say it happens where there's still an opening for you to walk away. Hey, just walk away. It says, forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Mashiach forgave you, so also do ye. You just walk away from that situation. Just leave it to the Lord. All right? We are ministers of peace, not ministers of thuggish. All right? Not ministers of thugging. We're not out here looking for wars. We're not out here, breaking laws, committing crimes. So acting like a worldly gang. All right? So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemiyah Shai. Hey, and I must say this, walk with weapons to the camp. Because in your mind, if anybody comes too close, you have your thing there, you defend yourself. Guess what? That is actually you attracting those spirits. You actually attracting those spirits because you walking around gathering those spirits, and those spirits attracting more spirits. So guess what? Even if a guy wasn't on that, the amount of spirits that you gathered on your way to the work because of that mindset actually gonna lead to that situation playing out. All right? They don't lead to fights. Don't push for fights. All right? So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemiyah Shai. I want to give double honor to the apostles of great mercy and do rule well. Salutations to the men of the old flank, saying, say elect. This is Brother Makazar from the Trinidad camp saying Shalom and stay strong. Shalom.